Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Justin here. I got a number of people that have reached out to me regarding how to get a product relisted from the Amazon UK market over into Italy, Spain, France, and Japan. I've also had a few questions around the advantages of some of the different marketplaces. So I'm just going to chat about this topic just for a little bit, try to get this knocked out in 15 to 20 minutes. I also had some people ask me some questions regarding Canada for those US sellers. I know there are a lot of US sellers out there. I'll just create a separate video on that just to help some folks out who need some assistance. But specifically, if you want to sell in UK, everyone knows, of course, you have to send your inventory to the UK fulfillment center. Now, if you want to sell in Germany, Italy, Spain, and France, you don't have to send your inventory to those centers. You can just send it only and exclusively to UK, and they will fulfill it for you, meaning they will ship product from that fulfillment center in the UK to Germany, to Italy, Spain, and some of those other places. The only thing is that you do have to pay what's called a cross-border fee. Amazon did change how they structure their fees. Before, I don't know if you can still see this, but I do believe they charge about $1.25. So make certain when you do make the decision to relist some of your items from UK over into some of those other marketplaces, you do use the Amazon revenue calculator in those individual markets so you can figure out the appropriate profit margins while also factoring in what the competitors are charging. The good thing is, on some of those other marketplaces, the competition is so ridiculously low that you probably could price a little bit higher, and all you got to do is just get some reviews and you're pretty much in the game. But as far as relisting, I'm going to answer that question first. So how do you get your item relisted from Amazon UK over into, let's say, Germany? We'll start there. There are a couple ways. The first way is you can kind of go down here to the eligible listings where it says expand internationally, and you just click on this tab where it says expand more listings, or enable more listings rather. So you come down here, it says manage connections. It shows here that my base is the UK, and then I have, the marketplaces France, Germany, Italy, and Spain, and I can essentially just get them relisted that way. That's more so as far as managing your connections, but this is where you really go. You really go here to resynchronize your listings. Now, resynchronizing your listings is a little different from actually relisting your items. Personally, I think this process takes a little bit longer, and you do still have to do the work of actually going in and manually adding your listings to each individual marketplace. But I think it's totally worth it. It may take you an hour to do. Typically, what I'll do is I'll have the UK listing in a different browser, and I'll have the new listing in the new marketplace in a different browser. So I may have one that's in Safari, and I have the one that I want to expand to in Chrome, in Google Chrome, for example. And I'll just go back and forth and put the information and do it that way. But I figured that this was a tab worth showing you because it kind of shows some really cool things. It says here you can build your international listings from this tab. So you'll click here, which is kind of similar to what I just showed you in the previous one. And then also a number of people are concerned about, well, what if I don't know that country's language? I actually did a video with Google Translate and how to translate your listings. It's very, very straightforward. I'll try to put that in the notes if I can remember to do that. But it is on the website, zoncommerce.com. But specifically here, they do charge, but in Google Translate is actually free. So personally, I think that's more than enough for you to use. But back on topic. So let's say you want to come down here, you can resynchronize your listings. That's one way that you can go about it. I think the way that I'm about to show you is probably the best way to go about it. So let's say we want to go to Germany. So I click on the German tab. And of course, this is assuming that you have already sent your product and your inventory to the UK fulfillment center. You have 200, 100, however many units currently available, right? You go to your inventory tab here. Let's say we're starting with Germany. Inventory tab. You go to add a product. Now, you can either take your UPC code, you can take your ASIN number and do a search. I don't think that's the best way to go because I don't even think it will find it. Usually what I'll do is I'll just go to create a new product. And the beauty is, as you go through this process, it's actually going to auto-populate it for you. And you'll see it in a second. I'll try to make it so that you guys can't see all of my products. But typically what I'll do is I'll come down here. I'll say, okay, kitchen category, boom. Hit select. Scroll down. Now I can put all my information, very similar to how you've done it in the past. So I'll come down here. I'll say, all right, go down here. I know sort of the title of the product. I know the part number just offhand. I also know the brand name as well. Package quantity 1. I'll scroll down to select the node. So I'll do kitchen category. Boom. This is what I was waiting for. Now, what will happen is it might take a little bit of time, but it will say here that we found possible matching products. And if that's your product, all you have to do is hit select and update offer. And once you've done that, you can literally start populating all of your information in here, all of your information. You can put in the offer, you can put in the very same images, you can put in the similar key product features. If you want to translate your product, if you want to translate your product description, go over to Google Translate. You can go over to Google Translate and do that. Go into your keywords tab. Again, not to sound redundant, but all this information is already in your UK offer. Just populate it over here. And then also in the offer tab, remember that you do have to factor in your cross-border fee, and so you want to make certain that the margins make sense, is what I'm saying. So typically, I'll usually increase my offer by, let's say, 10 to 15%. That usually does the trick for me. Some people may want to increase a little bit more. It depends on how many reviews you have, how competitive the landscape is, and some of those individual marketplaces. I will say I did not get another question regarding advantages of some of the marketplaces. Again, you do have to pay the cross-border fee of $1.25. There is a disadvantage though. The one disadvantage is, I believe in Italy, Spain, and France, the weight fees are a little bit more from a shipping standpoint. So the margins do kind of go down even more in that market than it does in Germany. I will say, out of all the marketplaces in Europe, my two favorite ones are UK and Germany because they are the biggest. In fact, I believe Germany is actually even bigger, slightly bigger than UK, which is a little shocking, but needless to say, it's a very popular market. It's a very sophisticated market. It's continuing to grow. I'm on the phones with those guys in Germany on a regular basis. They do make their fair share of mistakes. The good news is that for those US sellers, they do have an English-speaking department. They're not always accessible, but they do have an English-speaking department, so you can correspond with them at any time. So that's one thing that's worth considering. As far as I'm trying to see what other questions. Oh yeah, bank accounts. So I don't have bank accounts in all these different marketplaces. I have one bank account that's here in the United States, and that's it. That's all I have. And you can literally get that connected to your UK account, and everything gets, again, auto-populated. Again, the UK, the European, I guess, sellercentral.co.uk, it's a unified account. So you don't have to send inventory to all of those other marketplaces. You just send it to one. And then let's say if you start to get some really consistent sales in Germany, you can then start making the decision to start sending some of that inventory to Germany because you don't want to pay that additional $1.25 as a cross-border fee. So you're sort of doing a lot of inventory management, trying to figuring things out from that perspective. Lastly, I did get a question on what do I do if I run out of inventory? If you run out of inventory, some people have had the issue of their listing going completely dark. I did have that issue at first, and I did lose a couple of reviews as a result of that. So I called them, and they said, well, you should have just called us, and we would have found it for you and just kind of put it back up for you. I was like, duh, that's, a pretty obvious thing that I should have done. And so if, let's say, you do run out of inventory and you've gotten some reviews in Italy, Spain, Germany, some of the other marketplaces, your listing will go dark and you will have to recreate the listing again. Now, yes, that's a pain in the butt, but the good news is that if you did get reviews, those reviews are attached to your ASIN number. That ASIN number in UK is the same ASIN number in all the other marketplaces. It's the exact same one. So you won't necessarily have to worry about losing your reviews. You just may have to recreate the listing again. And worst case scenario, when all else fails, just have Amazon call you. Just reach out to them, hit that call me now button, and they'll call you and you can get everything sorted with them. But if you do run out of inventory, don't worry about it. Just get the inventory back in stock. You don't have to worry about losing your reviews. You just, get it relisted the same way I showed you. It will find it for you. It will auto-populate it. You then put all your information in there, and then you're good to go. Selling on a global basis, it's challenging, but it's also fun. For me, I come from a business school background where, growing fast is not always the smartest way to go, but I do believe in diversification. I believe in, having your hands in a lot of different areas, so that if you can take advantage of one product that has the potential to do well in other markets, then, take advantage of that. I do get the question on whether you should have more products, expand more products just in the United States versus having one or two products in the United States and expanding internationally. I can't really answer that. It's really based on the comfort level of the individual. For me, I went both ways. I said, screw it. I'm just going to, launch a bunch of products that are within one brand. And I'm also going to expand internationally because I just kind of felt like that's where things are going. All these marketplaces, though, they have a ton of advantages to them. And anyone that wants to expand or even start new in some of these marketplaces, I highly, highly recommend it. I hope this has been helpful. Try not to go too much on a rant. I try to give you guys some really good information. I think I've answered all the questions that you need. But if there is anything else you guys have questions on, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. Shoot me an email or, just visit me at zoncommerce.com. And we'll go from there. I'm sorry about the quality. It's certainly not as good as what our good friend Scott has done. I've certainly got a lot of tips and suggestions from him over the past few months listening to his podcast. So Scott, well done. Greatly appreciate it. And I hope this part on global selling has been helpful to everyone. May not have answered all the questions, but happy to answer some more questions ongoingly. All right, everyone, take care.